about your music. When did you start making music, brother?
Yo,
and how did that like go?
Like my dad is a musician. He's a producer and he's an engineer. And he used to rap as well. So we always kind of grew up with that musical influence at home. I guess I remember like being a kid. He'd have all these expensive music equipment. He'd be like, "Yo, y'all got to learn how to do this. Y'all got to learn how to use this." Me and my brother were not interested at all.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
That's mad.
And then it's now when I'm looking back and I'm like, yo, damn, what happened to that rolling keyboard? He's like, I sold it because you didn't want to do shit with it. You know what I'm saying? But then we moved here. And when I moved here, I started to learn the Dutch language. I took like one of these rap workshops, I guess. And then my father used to make the beats that we used to rap on. So from there, I kind of picked up writing, I guess, and I just stayed consistent with it till like 2019. When I went to Beat Heaven Studios in Nijmegen. Shout out to Nikes, by the way. And then he let us start recording there, and then I started to, progressively get more serious.
Cool. And Beat Heaven, just a little explanation for people who don't really know what's it really about.
Beat Heaven, you have like 3 different institutions right now. You have BWise, which is like an open studio for everybody to record at. And also dance. You have Beat Heaven, which is a music academy. So it's mostly people learn like how to work in a studio. And then you have Big Beat, and Big Beat is, I guess, the mastering and mixing studio. So that's really the expensive side of things.
Cool. Yeah. So it's kind of similar to what CultNorth does. We, of course, with CultNorth do a lot of talent development, passion development. And who produced your beats?
What time?
Just the beats you had just now.
Those were like those I got off the internet actually. Yeah. Like I made a sort of short tape on Ninth Wonder beats. So that's what you heard, I think, for the first 3 ones, and the last 2 were just Lord Knows from Drake and Champagne Poetry from Drake as well.
Cool, though. So why those? Like, why?
Because I have 2 different workflows. Like I work on songs, and then I'm consistently trying to improve my pen game. Yeah. So obviously, some of the producers that are the main producers that I work with don't have time to produce as many beats as that I'll rap on, right? But I don't want to stay stagnant in those in-between periods where, for example, now we're doing mixing for a project. So the focus is not necessarily that much on beat making. I prefer to just, I take a Ninth Wonder beat tape or a Crisis beat tape, or I hear things that I like and I'm like, okay, let me write a verse on that shit. Yeah. So I have like a long, I don't know how many verses that I have like written on other people's beat tapes or just other people's beats in general. Yeah,
you write only on the beat, or you write in general and then you just try to put it in?
Mostly, sometimes depending on how I feel. Sometimes I already know how beats in general sound, so you already know, okay, if you're gonna flow a certain kind of way, you start here, you end here, that kind of stuff. So if I'm inspired but I don't have a beat, I can write without the beat, and then I just adjust it to the beat when I do it. Most of the time I hear the beat first, I see what feeling the beat has, I kind of sit with it, and then I start to write.
Yeah, dope. Yeah, I heard a lot in your music as well. Like for the people who didn't quite catch it, what do you try to aim with your music? What do you try to what message do you try to get across?
Well, I don't know, there's different messages, I guess. Right now, I'm trying to focus more on having a bit more positively oriented music in that sense. I don't want to use the word conscious in the context of just being political, but also just being aware that there are different sides to a story. So, for example, if I'm talking about a situation of Black people in poverty, I'm not just going to be like, oh, Black people this, Black people that. There has to be an understanding that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? There's often a naivety when it comes to, social political problems where you kind of take one side and there's a sort of black and white, angle that you take it from.
Yeah, definitely.
And even though definitely, if you're looking at the crime that happens within our community and the things that happen within our community, it's definitely terrible. But you have to understand that there are mechanisms that work outside of that also have an influence on people's behavior. Definitely. So it's to acknowledge both things. I don't want people to listen to my music and to feel bad. Like, oh shit, yo,
we're never getting out of this.
Exactly. I want people to listen to my music and to have a sort of broader sense of, okay, what is really going on here in that sense. And to also understand that we're human beings, we make mistakes. Things happen sometimes.
Definitely.
But it's about the steps you take forward. You know what I'm saying? Those are the steps that count if you've already done something.
So that's what you try to focus on in your music, not necessarily the problem nor the solution. Sorry?
I like that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I think it's something that we need as a community as well, because at least that's how I see it. There's a lot of the same thing continuously. It's like a lot of the bringing all the negative energy into the music as well. And I think that we need someone or a lot of people actually to bring also that to bring a positive message also across to other people.
Exactly.
Role models in general. Role models in general is something that's, you know, and also people not being shy to take that place. You know, we can all be a role model in some form to someone. Yeah. But you know, we need people owning up to their
I think in hip hop especially, there's kind of people don't really like assuming that position, because that means you have to take responsibility for what you say. Yeah. A lot of rappers tend to kind of ignore that accountability side of shit, where it's like, okay, yo, if you are talking about murdering people, you know what I'm saying, in a way that, you know, could give other people a certain kind of impression of the lifestyle you live, you know what I'm saying, you have to take a bit of responsibility for the after effects of that. You know what I'm saying? Or for people trying to be like you, kids looking up to you, thinking you're the role model. You can't just say I'm not a role model and then widely distribute your music. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a contradictory thing to do, I think.
Yeah, music definitely is a big platform, and also just a big for most people. Like the most of our knowledge really we get outside of school comes from the music we listen to. You know, most of us spend about 2-3 hours a day listening to music, and I'm not saying, you know, everyone should express themselves their own way, but you know, it's just good if people are conscious about what they actually try to do with their time, because you only got so much time. So for you personally, like, what's next in life, music? What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to be?
Right now, I'm just trying to put myself out there, really. Like, I think, you know, I kind of really locked myself into the studio for an extended period of time because I wanted to focus on my craft. And I feel like now, as like I'm starting to round up my projects and stuff, it's really time that I try to put myself out there. You know what I'm saying? See if I can create a name for myself. See if I can also draw people back to, you know, the city I come from. Because I feel like there's a lot of talent in Nijmegen.
Definitely.
But they either move out or, you know, they kind of give up. Everybody's like, I don't know, I had this conversation with some guy and he's telling me about how bleak his opportunities are because of the type of rap he does. And I'm telling him, like, why can't we be that shift? You know what I'm saying? Why can't we be, because there's shifts in music always.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So if people were able to do a shift in the 90s from sort of the early 80s, more gangster oriented rap to, I don't know, Jungle Brothers, to A Tribe Called Quest, to all those people, that was a shift. You know what I'm saying? People got together and did it. I don't see why we can't do that in this time period. You know what I'm saying? So it's just that more or less we need to find each other. But I feel like, especially when you're not in the Amsterdam, Rotterdam area, it's a lot harder for you to, unless you move there, you know what I'm saying, to be able to make moves.
It also depends on who do you want to reach.
That's
like
also
you
true.
You can, it's about how personal you are with your crowd as well, and how, if the people are there for you, or are the people there for your music or how you rap. Yeah, definitely. So where does that come from? Like you saying, okay, we can make a change, we can do our own thing. Like, because a lot of people are kind of scared to do that. A lot of people just trying to, okay, if I just make this sound a little bit like this, then what? So where does that come from? Like that confidence in yourself?
I'd say it's my parents. My parents always kind of taught us to hold on to who we are, to never compromise, and I've seen them do it when they were teaching at the university, for example. While my mom was doing her PhD, she was doing it on the post-colonial effects of colonialism on Africa, as well as feminism. Like, because my mom, she's not really a feminist, I guess. So she wants to talk about the impact of Western feminism on African culture. Definitely. Everybody within her department, even her supervisor, was telling her not to do it. She should change it to something else, this, that. My mom knew that she had something to say, and she strove to continue doing that. And she ended up getting her PhD as well, you know, and really good references too. So growing up in a household like that made me understand that regardless of whether you get the acclaim attached to it, I can sleep a lot easier knowing I'm saying something that comes from the heart and that's real than I'd be able to sleep having compromised my personality so much just to be able to get, 5 years of quote unquote wealthy living and then be a broke ass nigga for the rest of my life. I'd rather just consistently stay on the broke ass nigga route, you know what I'm saying?
At least you said something.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's also a big thing in general, like touching on what your mom did, like doing research that actually affects our community. Yeah. Because a lot of people are in uni still and just don't, they do research and they try to, but they don't do the research. Because I've always found it like weird to expect Western society to do our research.
Yeah.
And I'll say our as in, Africans and everyone in the African diaspora. Like, if you want to know some effect of something that had on our community, we're gonna have to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
No one else. You can't even expect someone else to do it. Then you can't also say like, nah, bro, why is this research not here, or we don't have the knowledge. We have to.
Well, I think it's difficult because even if you look at the angles from which we do the research, it's mostly from a Western angle.
Yeah,
looking at things like psychology, for example.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Most of the especially in the earlier phases of psychology, most of the people they interviewed are North American white men. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the analysis were made on North American white men. There's no, aside from maybe Frantz Fanon, there's not really that much of an extensive research done in, for example, the psychological after effects of slavery or colonialism on Black people. You know what I'm saying? So, and even when you're looking at it, are you looking at it from the perspective of an African, or are you looking at it from the perspective using Western tools to try and analyze, a non-Western person, or, you know what I'm saying?
But I think using the Western tools of analysis, pure like a student t-test and those that analytical forms, I think you can use those. I think those work, but you have to just, like you say, put them to work on your own community, in your own scenario, and and think from an African stand, or not African, whatever whatever perspective you wanna see it from. Cool. So can you take us a little bit through your musical process? Because I always find that interesting. Like you have an idea or some shit, you're in the shower, something happens.
It's so many different things. I don't
And how does that song come
really
to
have
life?
a specific process.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I just start like I get a beat and I start with an idea, or I hear something and I think, okay, this is what I want to rap about or whatever. I try out a couple of first lines. I do kind of have a standard in the sense that I always know if the first bar if you don't feel what I say first, whatever comes after doesn't matter. So even if it's an introduction, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you start with I don't know, like a big explosive bar. Everybody's like, whoa. But sometimes you start with something that kind of slowly, you know what I'm saying, pulls you in.
Curiosity is big in music.
Exactly. So depending on the kind of beat that I'm working on, I try to figure that out. Most of the time I'm working alone. I really don't like having other people in my space when I'm creating.
Yeah.
Because I get the feeling like their thoughts are in my head sometimes. So if I'm writing, I'll close my room door, I'll go into my room, I sit in my bed, and then I just listen to the beat. Then I think if I feel a word that catches on or a topic that catches on, then I try to expand on that. It's the same when I'm working in the studio, you know what I'm saying? I try to set a goal for myself. I'll say maybe finish a song, do 2 verses and a hook or whatever. I'll go through the beats that I feel. I try to have like a big beat folder where I save everything in. So even if I get things that I don't feel, I might feel it in like 2 months, because I feel like a lot of rappers sleep on that. Like, just because you don't feel something in the moment doesn't make it a bad beat or an unsuitable beat, but it's just like maybe you're not in the right time to do it. So I go through it, I see what I feel, and then from there I just start writing and see where it goes.
Yeah, the same with like songs and just in general, never trash nothing. You never know.
No.
You never know. So before we continue our next segment, we're going to speak about some new music. There was an album you claimed to be the album of the year. I'm going to have you all listen to a song from Nas called Ghetto Reporter. You're listening to CultNorth Radio live on Stanvaste Radio. You just listened to an interview with rapper Kha'lil. Now I'm going to have you listen to Ghetto Reporter from Nas.